How's it going?
Levi, what's your name?
Johnny.
River. Billy.
Travis.
Travis, where are you guys from?
Michigan.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to explain a new concept to you and apply it in real time, and it has something to do with the brain. Let's do this. When you first walk into a restaurant, okay, I'm going to give you two options. Each of you will answer A or B, okay? Don't be influenced by your dad or your brother or whatever it is, okay? When you walk into a restaurant, like that restaurant, the second you walk in, do you see the entire restaurant and it's just kind of like a thing and you take it in? Or is it a little overwhelming and you see a lot of individual things and you got to slow down to focus on one thing at a time? So again, A is that you see it all and you get it.
I see it all.
Okay. B, you slow down.
Yeah.
One at a time.
B,
One at a time.
B.
I don't know if you noticed this. As I'm talking, I'm focusing on one person at a time only.
I'm like you, right? So if I look at the four of you, you're a thing, right? It's four guys. For your kids, believe it or not, you may have never even realized this, but for them, there's no such thing as four guys. It's not a single thing. They're individual, we're a group. That's the name in Mind OS. Okay.
You analyze the whole thing.
Right. It's just one thing. He's never done that. Does that sound odd to you guys, to be able to see five people and just take them all in as one?
A little bit, yeah.
Right? And we don't talk about this a lot, right? So here's the thing when it comes to communication. When I say a word and you hear it, you assume what you're picturing in your own head is what the other person is seeing. We never for a second analyze what the other person is interpreting. So here's something interesting about the individual and group thing. So again, you're group, I'm group. He's individual, you guys are individual. Here's what's interesting. So if we think of the brain as like an app store, right? So think about it. Like you have an app that can do stuff. We're smarter than computers, at least in certain ways, right? Where we can adapt, right? Computers are still trying to, like, you got to tell it does the same thing every time. It doesn't understand context, doesn't know how to, like,
common sense.
Right? No common sense. AI is still kind of not that advanced. So if you think about it, if those computers have apps that can be installed, updated, removed, our brain probably works like that too, right? So like when we're young, we're taught certain things, right? That's like downloading programs, right? Like when even something as basic as eating, you repeat it a few times, and eventually you know how to eat, right? I was actually able to download your program, okay? So this individual program, so imagine if Dad can, so as bizarre as what you guys picture, that individual is totally bizarre to him. He's never experienced that in his life. And what I experience normally, as well as he does, is something that's really bizarre to you. To be able to see five people, to be able to just take them all in and not have to do this, sounds bizarre to you too, right?
Yeah.
So imagine the ability or the concept to be able to just download that program and just all of a sudden be able to change the way you think, or to be able to do it different ways in different times. So when you're one-on-one with someone, to be able to have that razor focus, but when you're in a group where you just wish you can...
Best of both worlds.
Yeah. This is our first time doing it, where we're not doing it in our lab, but we're actually going out and just doing it with people. We're going to try it right now. I'm going to try to give you three the group program. So you guys are individual, right? We've established that. So we're group. One thing you'll notice is that when it comes to individual, when you focus on one thing at a time, right, versus someone who's group, we're less distracted. So if you're in a club and you're talking to your friend and there's music and lights, does that bother you?
No.
No. When you're in a club and you're talking to your friend and there's music and lights, does it bother you?
Yeah. At first it's disorienting.
Did you see that?
Totally drives me crazy.
Now, again, think about it. Why is that? Look at that palm tree. Everyone look at that palm tree, okay? So, Dad, for you, even though we're looking at the palm tree exists in your physical vision just as much as everything else, right? It's not more zoomed in, or everything else not faded out, right?
Right.
You guys look at the palm tree. Is there more of a focus towards the palm tree? Is that palm tree less clear to you physically than that palm tree?
For sure, yeah.
For sure. Do you see that? Does this sound right? Does it feel like your body is doing this when you look at me, and then this when you look at someone else? Like you're almost going in and out?
Super zoom. Yeah.
Right? Okay, try not to zoom in.
I looked at that palm tree. I seen the stars. I seen that boat behind it. I seen
It's all there, right?
Right.
It's not.
That's weird because it blows our mind that he's not just looking at the palm tree, right?
So try that. So let's try to look at the palm tree again. But this time, rather than feeling as if your body is going somewhat fit or your brain is going closer towards it, just chill. Right? Just look at it and just stay inside yourself and just look at it and see if your spectrum of sight and focus can be a little bit wider and less intense. So you know how you have like a Windows, Android and iPhone, right? Some apps are built for certain things, okay? So there are certain programs that are better for individual people. And this is what's really important to know, because once you know your operating system, your Mind OS, you can know, for example, guys like him and I, we'd be maybe better promoters for a club, right? We can sometimes bulldoze people's emotions. We don't care. Why? Because there's less of this investment and zoom into people.
Right.
So we do better with stuff that needs to be procedural, where you can't get too invested. People like you, though, who are individual, you guys do better with focus. You do better with things that need a human interaction or intimacy, right? So understanding that helps you not only choose a career, but also helps you think about what types of programs, because there's a lot of programs that can be reused a bunch of times. So in the same way, like a keyboard on a computer, right? You can type so many different things. It's a function that you can reuse so many times. This ability to be individual that you have is something that you can use a lot, many different times in your life. Okay, I'm gonna guess that your mom is individual, very likely. So later on, right? So here's another thing, just in communication, right? And coming from someone who's group, right? And I can understand you because like I said, I've been able to download and use the individual program. And I use it at times, for example, if I'm speaking to someone one-on-one, being group is very bad. If I'm group and I'm talking to you, you'll feel like I'm not giving you proper attention, like I don't care, and it's not really what's going on.
Like, this is harder for me right now because there's so many of us here. If we were interviewing one person, I'd be crushing it. I'd be doing a lot of talking. It'd be so much easier for me.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So just understanding how the other person works. So here's the thing. When it comes to a word, I say a word. I first picture a thought in my head. Then I have words to express it. I say the word. It goes into your ears. What happens? You recreate the thought. But you create it in your world. I don't think about that. I just think, okay, I'm thinking this and I'm saying it, and people must be picking up exactly what I'm putting down. But that's not what happens, right? By knowing everyone's program, you can know what they're thinking. Especially as being individuals, you guys have a better skill at being focused on what the other person understands, not on what you're understanding. Right now, you're all very intensely focusing on what I'm saying, right? I don't do that, and group people don't do that. Your dad there, he works in his own head, right? And
all the other stuff.
and there you go. He's having a beer right now. And I bet you right now he's not thinking about this conversation at all. When you guys are gonna walk away, because you're individual, it's gonna take time. You're gonna think about it for longer. So you guys are more grounded, slower vehicles because you pay more attention. People that are group are faster moving, more superficial vehicles.
They'll move on from like relationships and will stick with them in their mind.
Correct. And then when it comes to relationships as group people, there's specific types of relationships that you have. But ultimately, the key is that there really are benefits to both. So the real thing that we do with MindOS is focus on the programs that are built for your operating system, right? So there's a huge array of programs which you can get into because, I mean, it's your life, basically. But there are tons of programs that are optimized, or we call them instinctive programs. They're programs stuff that you'll pick up fast. You ever notice how someone can learn art in a second? And I mean, anyone can learn how to draw, anyone, right? It's just a matter if someone has a natural tendency and is instinctively doing it, or if someone kind of feels like it's the most boring thing in the world.
Right.
Individual people are also what we call empathetic, right? So empathy is something that is an instinctive program for individuals. Empathy would be the program. Individual is your operating system, one of the core components. So you guys have a more natural, easier ability to just feel what someone else feels. And when it comes to dating and relationships, that actually is a huge asset.
It's an asset after you actually meet someone, though. Up until then, it's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Because it's harder to create the interaction to begin with. Well, if you were to learn the group program, it would be a lot easier to meet somebody in the first place, too. Makes it so that you go somewhere, it's less intimidating because you're not worried about, I have to learn this person for a split second. Okay, now I have to learn this person for a second. Now I have to learn this person for a second until you finally figure out, like,
So why don't
he can just walk into
Well,
a
so
place
why don't you? So here's a little exercise. So let's think about a relationship, right? The beginning of the relationship, like me and my friend had this approach challenge the other night. I have no problem to approach because I'm a bulldozer, like your dad. You know, it doesn't like everyone. You guys, no one. It's just one big thing, right? So here's the way we did that exercise with the tree. I'm gonna give you a little exercise to do next time you want to approach somebody. Okay? We're going to want to go into group just for that beginning interaction, just to get the courage to go over to them, to be a little bit more aggressive, to be a little bit more persistent, and to be more engaging at the beginning. And then we're going to want to switch to individual right away, and you're going to blow their mind. Why? Because one of two things happen. The people that are always approaching them are the bulldozers, and then the really good guys, as they say, right? Or the more sensitive people, the guys that actually listen when they talk, don't approach because they're, it's harder. So here's the deal with groups. So number one, we want to not be focused on how they feel or what they think. We want to be focused on what we feel and think. It sounds really odd. You may have never done it in your life, but as you walk over to that person, or as you even picture walking over to them, don't think about them. I know it might sound selfish, might sound odd, but just be...
The surroundings, I guess. Think more about the surroundings.
No, think about yourself.
All right.
Think about, how do I feel right now? What do I want? How do I feel? How do I look? And don't allow yourself, and you're gonna find your brain like a magnet jump to think about the other person. Just pull it back in. It's like exercise. Eventually it'll be easier. Just keep thinking about yourself. So every time you start thinking about, wait, how's that person feel? Am I making them uncomfortable? It's like they don't exist. Just keep going back to yourself. That's group in one-on-one interactions. And then as soon as you get past that, if you feel like you want to approach, you're just going to approach. You're not even going to be conscious of their feelings. It's not an instinctive program. Your brain's going to be making you crazy. Just ignore it. That'll make it so much smoother to slide in. And then once you're in there, then you go back to your natural state and you'll blow their minds.
Should try that.
I'll have to,